The story starts in 1966. A strange and mysterious dark creature appeared in a small town on the outskirts of West Virginia. This peculiar creature is described as a man approximately 2 meters high, with giant wings very similar to those of a moth, and with fearful red eyes that never blink. This terrible being is called El Hombre Pelela or Mothman. It is said that on the cold night of November 15, 1966, a couple of couples were traveling in a car heading for Point Pleasant, Virginia, through the well-known TNT area, which belonged to the government and was used during World War II as a storage center for supplies. On the dark road heading into town, the gleaming tiny lights announced the safe return of Linda Scarberry and her boyfriend, along with their friends Steve and Mary, also a couple. The conversation as the night progressed became more pleasant. Between laughter and common chatter, a light rain began to fall and the clouds covered the beautiful sky, which at the beginning was all starry. Minutes before, the young people had made a quick stop to observe the majestic clear sky and the thousands of glittering stars in the firmament, so they said they had made a good decision since the sky was now totally dark. So, they continued their journey, and as Linda watched the front of the road, she noticed 2 glowing red lights that seemed to be slowly approaching. Linda told her boyfriend to look at those peculiar red lights in the distance, to which her boyfriend responded by saying that they might be antennas or generators, which were near the place. From one moment to another, these mysterious red lights were already in front of the car, and everyone cried out in terror because they could not believe what their eyes had seen. They did not understand what was happening, and fear invaded the bodies of the couples, leaving them immobile. When Linda's boyfriend reacted, he immediately accelerated, and between cries and screams, they began to look for the creature, because the fear that something bad could happen to them was gigantic. Everyone looked around. While Roger accelerated more and more, Linda looked out the window of the car and soon realized that the creature had huge wings and was chasing them without hesitation. According to Linda, she says she saw the creature chasing them with an impressive calmness, and despite being at a speed of over 160 kilometers per hour, the mysterious being did not seem to make any effort. Linda tells her friends and boyfriend that the creature was chasing them and that she had seen it perfectly on the side of the road. Roger, very nervous and sweaty, asked Linda what the creature was and why it was so big and dark. Linda tells him that it had the figure of a man at least 2 meters tall, with hands and feet with horrible sharp claws. His face was dark and shapeless, and the only thing she could see of him were his 2 big and mysterious red eyes. With a broken voice, Linda finished by telling her friends that this mysterious being possessed 2 gigantic wings very similar to moth wings, coming out of its back, very dark and gloomy wings. Roger kept his foot fully on the accelerator, but the frightening creature did not disappear. Steve and Mary, who were traveling in the back of the car, turned their eyes, and through the window, they observed the glowing eyes, and shouted, pointing to the unknown creature. Between some maneuvers to escape from such a mythical being, they managed to see the lights of the entrance to the town, and although they could still see the creature chasing them less than 2 meters behind the car, they felt a little calm, since they were already in the city and could ask for help. When they reached the town, several trees announced the entrance to the town, and while they continued escaping from what could be their end, the horrible creature extended its enormous wings and gave a very surprising vertical jump as an impulse to take flight towards the dark sky, and after a few seconds it disappeared without a trace. For the young people it had been something inexplicable, because the creature they observed was so creepy that they believed that they would die, because as soon as they arrived at the town and multiple lights perhaps made this mythical creature retreat, vanishing in seconds. Everyone, full of fear, decided to go to the town's police station and report what had happened, since this feared creature could be a terrible risk to the inhabitants of Point Pleasant. When they arrived at the police station, Sheriff Millard Halstead received them, and the young people, with their faces unhinged with fear, told the terrible story on the road. The sheriff was very concerned about what the boys had told him, so he told them to direct him to the place where the frightening creature had appeared. For the youngsters, returning to the site meant reliving the moments of terror they had gone through, so at first, they flatly refused. However, the sheriff pressured them to return at that moment and verify if there was any trace of the strange creature. The young men pointed out the spots where they saw the man with wings, and the sheriff inspected the whole place, without obtaining any clues, because there was not a single trace of the horrifying creature. They returned to the town, and the sheriff immediately informed his colleagues of what had happened, and Sheriff George Johnson decided to call a press conference the next morning to announce the chilling event of the previous night. The journalists were uneasy because they did not understand what the young people were saying. However, the fear and panic that the couple showed on their faces demonstrated the veracity of the terrible story. Thus, the main newspapers of the state spread the chilling news, and little by little the story was already spreading around the world. Soon after that famous and terrifying incident in the TNT zone, many other people claimed to have seen the same creature described days before, and the terror grew, as encounters with this sinister creature increased rapidly. Since the various sightings of this shadowy creature, many called it the Mothman because of the physical characteristics it possessed. Many camped for days in the area claiming to have caught a glimpse of the dreaded creature, and many others returned with no hope of confirming the existence of the Mothman. Over the months, this sinister creature was linked as a creature of bad luck, as it is said that it always appeared minutes before a great tragedy happened. It is said that on December 15, 1967, a great misfortune occurred in Point Pleasant. According to the story, it is known that the bridge that linked the city with Ohio collapsed inexplicably, leaving 46 people dead as a result of the great disaster. This event was known as one of the greatest tragedies that occurred in the United States. However, something that called much attention was that many people claimed to have seen a gigantic bird flying over the bridge from one end to the other. It is said that it was the Mothman who announced the terrible event, and it has been catalogued as the creature of bad omens. Like this one, there are many other cases linked to the Mothman, where it is said that this creature appears before a great catastrophe.